And Skywatcher, if you want to send me one, that would be great, because I'd love to test one of these and see just how good it is. That's not going to happen. Interesting Skywatcher news, I found this photo and this photo on the internet. This is a Skywatcher roadshow of some kind, and they're showing a brand new Newtonian telescope. This is very interesting because we haven't seen an awful lot of new Newtonians for a very long time. We've seen quite a lot of refractors and also rebranded refractors, and we've also seen quite a lot of GSO rebranded Newtonians, but they're the same scope. So this is interesting. It's a Skywatcher product. Let's have a look if we can. Sorry about the quality of these photos. They're obviously, they show you what you need to know, but it doesn't show you all of the information in a huge amount of detail. I'm going to zoom in a bit on here and have a look. So basically it says for photography, and I can't read that bit because it's out of focus. But if I scroll down, some of this I can read. So it says here the projected weight for the product is around 11 point something, so it's between 11 and 12 kilograms. I can't read this next bit, but it looks like it's referring to the primary mirror size. So it says primary mirror and it says 203.2 millimeters, I think, which is interesting. But if you look at the sizes down here, I can visibly see that says P200, P250, I think it is, although that could be an 280 maybe, I doubt that though, and that clearly says P300, so I imagine it's P200, P250 and P300. And it says here this product is primarily designed for professional astrophotography. I think that says encompassing the apertures of the P200, P250 and P300. That says focal ratio. That there says focal ratio, and I think that's an f4. I think that says f4. I could be wrong, but if that was f4, and let's say that was a 200 millimeter, that would make the focal length 800 millimeters. So that would be the equivalent of a 200 PDS. Looking in a bit more detail, this is really nice to see. We've got some red anodized finish there, and it looks like that is a properly machined spider. If it is, that's a huge improvement. And also, I can see that there's another circle underneath there, which is black. So hopefully that's been painted black, matte black. I'm not sure if this is a fully machined circle. I'm hoping it is, but it looks like that would be much more stable for collimation, because that's one thing which is always difficult with Skywatcher scopes, because their spiders are very thin, which makes them very susceptible to movement. And whilst it's nice having thin spiders, they don't hold their collimation very easily. At the top here, we've got a standard, that looks like a standard Skywatcher finder scope. Some kind of bracket there. That is hard to tell if that's metal or if it's plastic. It's difficult to tell. I'm never a fan of those. I don't like those. I understand why they put them there. I think it's better to have a separate dovetail on the tube rings. But looking at this photo here, there is a handle there, so you could potentially attach your guide scope on there. I think it's really important that we get away from these brackets. I hate them. I just don't like them at all. They don't work for me. Sorry everyone. I am liking this metal tube ring. That's an interesting sort of clip there. It looks like it's kind of a push thing, maybe, to be able to unclip the scope. If we go to the other photo, that one there. Now, we'll talk about that mount in a second, because I'm intrigued by that mount as well. But let's zoom in and have a look at this focuser. So that's a standard 2-inch Skywatcher eyepiece. If it's for astrophotography, I kind of don't know why they've shown that, but okay, it's fine, it's a roadshow. But when we go and have a look at this focuser, that's a different focuser design. If we look on, this is First Light Optics page, it's just the first one I came to, you can see the same design of the control knobs here. So it's this range of focusers which we've got, but a Newtonian version of that. So it's this with the kind of rubberized knurled controls, with the silver ring around those. So if we go back to our photo, we can see the same sort of design, but in a Newtonian. The Skywatcher focusers that I've used from the 200 PDS and the 130 PDS are all friction based. So there's no indication here of whether this is a friction based Crayford focuser or whether it's a rack and pinion style focuser. It's good to see a better focuser though. I don't know if that'll be any good. I genuinely don't. It looks better than the other ones, but we'll have to wait and see. One thing which is really interesting about this is this mount. Now, I don't know if any of you have seen this mount before, but it's clearly got some kind of automation on it, and I can't tell if that's an equatorial platform because it seems to be at an angle. So maybe that's an Alt-Az mount with an equatorial adjustment, which is amazing to see. It's got some quite interesting controls, but it's clearly an Alt-Az design, but on a kind of equatorial platform, which is quite interesting as well. The other thing which I want to mention is the back of the scope. I know you can't see it very well in this photo, but one of my big gripes, and it's what caused me to get rid of my 200 PDS, is mirror movement and how the mirrors are supported within a Newtonian scope. This looks, I'm hoping, to be better than the previous design. I can clearly see 1, 2, 3 collimation knobs and potentially something there as well, which could be a locking screw. I can't see any of the details. I can't see if there's a cooling fan. I can't see how the metalwork is designed in there to support the primary mirror. I think it's absolutely key how the primary mirror is supported, because you don't want pinched optics, yet you do not want the mirror to be flopping about when the telescope slews, because you will not be able to calibrate your data and you will lose collimation. And that has been the biggest bugbear of mine. Unfortunately, I ended up having to get rid of my lovely 200 PDS, which was clearly a good scope, but it was mechanically not very good, which is a real shame. I've previously made a video on 10 things to make your Newtonian amazing, and that includes things such as preventing mirror movement, preventing light leaks, making sure everything is painted black, making sure your primary mirror is covered, making sure you've installed dew heaters, etc, etc. And if a new Newtonian comes on the market, that's kind of the benchmark of stuff that I would want. Now, it's really interesting when a new product comes on the market to see which bits of that this ticks off. Clearly, they've tried to address the spider movement, which is great. I can see some of it's painted black. I can't see the mirrors, so I can't vouch for that. And the focus has been improved, and I can see it's a better fit. And it looks like the primary mirror holder is different as well, which again is a real improvement. I know this is possibly a massively unfair comparison, comparing a Skywatcher to a Takahashi. However, the Takahashi scopes are renowned for being brilliant and extremely expensive, but they are renowned for being very good. The only thing I find about them is they do look like they've come from the 1960s, which could be, you could say, the retro, but you can see quite clearly here, look at how that spider is designed. It looks like something from the military. It's really robust. You can tell it's robust. And they've really put some time into thinking about collimation on this scope. If we then look at the primary mirror end, again, it's a completely sealed unit pretty much, apart from a tiny little hole at the back there, which you can see, and the rest, multiple locking screws, multiple nuts and bolts, everything is sealed. They've really thought about how this scope is going to keep its collimation. I don't know what's going on inside. I don't know how that mirror is mounted and held, but it does look very impressive, and it clearly addresses the issue for supporting the mirror. But you're paying a premium for this sort of product. One thing which I don't know is if it's any good is the focuser, but you can see it is a rack and pinion focuser. It is not a dual speed focuser, probably because it doesn't need to be, because if you were using one of these, you'd probably fit some kind of automated focuser on that, but I'm not sure how you would fit it actually, looking at how that's been designed. Clearly this is the sort of standard almost the best sort of astrograph that you can get. One thing which is interesting, they haven't got any which are really long focal lengths. So they're all quite short f2.8, this one, as you can see. But the focal length is 500 millimeters, so it's quite a wide field scope. But it is a lovely design, even though it does look like it's from the 1960s. But if you've got it right, why change it? The most recent Newtonians that have come on the market are the GSO ones. I say most recent, they've actually been around a very long time. They've just been rebranded with a new label. They're just GSO products, nothing wrong with those. This is the one which I own, which is the 8-inch f5, 1000 millimeter focal length. And this is the Altair version. It is identical in a different set of clothes, but it's identical. They are identical scopes, just rebranded. Ioptron have also opted for GSO scopes, and they are rebranding them again as Ioptron products. So GSO manufacture the same scope in different clothes for different suppliers. But we haven't seen any new Newtonians for a long time, where it's a new product, new design. And this is where the Skywatcher one is quite interesting to me, because clearly that's a new design. I've not seen that before, at least if it is from somewhere else, I apologize, I just haven't seen it. The tube rings appear to be different as well, with some kind of retaining clip there. And also, looking at this photo, the primary mirror holder looks to be different also. Very interesting. I would love to find out more information. If you have any, please whack them down in the comments. And Skywatcher, if you want to send me one, that would be great, because I'd love to test one of these and see just how good it is. That's not going to happen. Anyway, take care everybody. I hope that was interesting. I'm really pleased to see some new Newtonians coming onto the market.